Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, I have here an article dealing with India's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Jaishankar, talking about George Soros. George Soros here in the West is considered a philanthropist and is considered a person who invests money for his NGOs and movements called in general open society. That means, we allow people to come in, go out, debate certain things and all that is all, fantastic on the paper. In reality, Mr. Jaishankar has a different take on Mr. Soros. Here in the West, we have certain things already set for us in how we should think about certain historical events, about certain ideologies, about certain people. But if you go in other countries away from Europe or from North America, Australia or New Zealand, other people might have a very different view on the same, as I said, historical events, ideologies and persons that might be here deemed as dangerous or could be deemed as angels. Those guys might have a different take on things. And so does Mr. Jaishankar. And if Mr. Jaishankar would make these statements here in the West, especially in the United States of America, he would be called names. And he would be, if he would be an media personality, put it this way, he probably gonna be Tucker Carlson style or other things like this. But since he is in India, and India is pretty much an independent and sovereign country, strong country, nuclear power as well, the biggest democracy in this world. It is, by number, it is. They cannot touch them. And besides, this guy is not considered an extremist or a right-winger or anything, or let alone MAGA Trumper, you know what I mean? So let's see what Mr. Jaishankar, what's his assessment, let's put it this way, of George Soros, the beautiful philanthropist that we are supposed to all revere. And be careful, he's going to use some unflattering words. So here, he's not going to be disrespectful in a way of, cursing or anything, because he's a gentleman. I admire a lot Mr. Jaishankar, Dr. Jaishankar. So, this article comes from Reuters, and this is from about 2 months ago. India Foreign Minister Jaishankar says Soros dangerous. Debate needed on democracy. Well, he said dangerous, but he said more than that, another 3 characteristics that I will read them for you. I will quote Dr. Jaishankar. So he was in Sydney, Australia, so there is where it happened. India's foreign minister said the democratic world needed a debate on democracy, labeling billionaire investor, philanthropist, George Soros, and I'm quoting Mr. Jaishankar, Dr. Jaishankar, old, rich, opinionated, and dangerous, end quote. So Dr. Jaishankar labeled our revered philanthropist, billionaire investor George Soros as, and I'm quoting again, old, rich, opinionated, and dangerous. Have you heard that here in the United States? Who dares to call Soros this way? I think is gonna lose a lot of liberties and perks that he might have had up till then. So he called George Soros old, rich, opinionated, and dangerous for his comments on India that didn't recognize its difficult path from colonialism. So Soros, like he does, he wants to help people because that's what he is doing all his life. So he made some comments because he sticks his nose in everybody's business, because that's how people who want to help are. all the time. United States is another example. Wants to help everybody on this planet. That's why he's just, bringing freedom and democracy everywhere. In a speech ahead of the Munich Security Conference, the billionaire investor Soros on Thursday criticized India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, saying India was a democracy but Modi was not a Democrat. But Soros is a billionaire investor philanthropist, never elected. I think Narendra Modi was elected by the Indian people. So anyway, too many details here. India's foreign minister Subrahmanyam Jaishankar, I gotta learn the first name, told a conference in Sydney on Saturday that Soros' comments were typical of a, end quote, I'm quoting, Euro-Atlantic view, end quote. Well, I don't think that Mr. Jaishankar really wanted to say what he wanted to say, because for him, Soros is part of the Euro-Atlantic view, which he is not. He is part of something that Euro-Atlantic must go towards, according to the billionaire investor philanthropist Soros. They're not there yet. And remember Mr. Davos? Yeah? No, that's another one. Mr. Davos guy. He said that was and I'm quoting, he said there was a debate and conversation that must have on democracy, end quote, including whose values defined a democracy as the world rebalanced and became less Euro-Atlantic. So Dr. Jaishankar says, hey, I don't think that necessarily your values are the values that define democracy, because you might have lost your way. And maybe democracy and the values of democracy need to have a little conversation. So he's very thin-skinned, Mr. Jaishankar. He's very, very intelligent as well, and courageous. And I'm quoting again Mr. Jaishankar. He is old, rich, opinionated, and dangerous because what happened is when such people and such views and such organizations, they actually invest resources in shaping narratives, end quote, Jaishankar said in a response to a question about Soros at the Raisina at Sydney conference. So, again, he said, I'm not going to repeat all these things, what he said, but he said because such people, which is Soros, and with such views, and such organizations, so see, he's aware of his organization, they invest resources in shaping narratives. So he's not an idiot, as you can see, not that anybody thought that he is. He said India's voters decided, and I'm quoting, how the country should run, end quote. And I'm quoting again Mr. Jaishankar. It worries me. We are a country that went through colonialism. We know the danger of what happens when there's outside interference, end quote, he added. These are hints, intellectual fingers pointed towards the philanthropist. So we know the dangers of what happens when there's outside interference. Hey West, you know what he's talking about? Whose interference? I don't know, the Martians. So, the Australian Strategic Policy Institute think tank hosted a one-day conference where Jaishankar highlighted in a speech the urgent need to, and I'm quoting, de-risk the global economy as India took over the G20 presidency. So, I think that's enough to see Mr. Jaishankar smacking this, how do you call him again, philanthropist, billionaire investor. And when I, how should I put it, Jaishankar is a very intelligent and very well individual, very well read individual, and he's very courageous. From his brain and heart reeks, how should I put it, courage and self-assurance. He's an independent, sovereign guy. And I might say, he loves his nation. What's the definition of what's that? If you love your nation, you're a what? Yes, you're a nationalist. And when you love your fatherland, you become a patriot. So I think these terms used to be normal. And hey, what can you do? A lot of things, a lot of crimes were done in the name of, defending, protecting, and doing the right thing, if you know what I mean. So just because some people did some stupid stuff, it doesn't mean that these terms lost their value. They try to change them. So anyway, this is, I think, if Jaishankar would have been here in the United States, a politician, what words do you think, what terms, what labels would have been attached to Mr. Jaishankar, do you think? I think we know exactly what kind of terms that anyone here who would dare to, have a slightly different narrative or opinion or a view on that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful George Soros. I urge you, or not urge you, that's a wrong word. I suggest, I recommend that you read some of Mr. Soros' statements regarding his time in Budapest. He was born in Hungary. He was born in Hungary. And his time over there, and when the Nazi occupation came over, how he felt about it. All right? Please do some research on that one. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.